What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we had a game against the Milwaukee Bucks, and all in all, it wasn't the most terrible game I think you'll ever see in relation to preseason or even for the Chicago Bulls. I'm sure there are many, many more bad games to come. Well, I don't want to be too negative here. It wasn't like it was a terrible game in general, but ultimately, I do think this was the worst performance in preseason, and Milwaukee were just simply almost unstoppable in a game like today. Now, in fairness, I've got to give credit to the Chicago Bulls because the fighting mentality will continue to stay and continue to be there. Every time the Bucks extended a lead, the Bulls always try to force their way back into the picture, make it competitive, and make it at least a game worth watching. But you could tell there was a very big discrepancy with the Bucks and the Bulls today. We're going to talk a little bit about it in this video. Before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Bulls, their game today, and your player of the game as we win this one 127. We lose, sorry, my bad. I'm used to saying we win now, 2-0 and everything. Now we're 2-1, unfortunately. Anyway, we lost this game 127 to 121. Now, I mentioned the discrepancy, right? There was pretty big discrepancies in this game, and ultimately, like I said, despite those discrepancies, the Bulls continue to fight. So there's always a positive and a negative. There's always a positive sometimes you could take away from a loss. And ultimately, a loss like this shows, one, there's still improvements that need to be done. We're not perfect, and we definitely need to get a move on in terms of trying to get to that level we're trying to get to. But B, you take the positive in the fact that no matter how good the Milwaukee Bucks played today, and they played some really good basketball, there were some really nice things if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan to look into, for sure. The Bulls were not that far away. They weren't that far away. You could say the Bucks are a serious team. You could say the Bucks are not going to be that serious next season. You can say whatever you like. They have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Miles Turner on their team. They had Kyle Kuzma who dropped 19 points today. They've got a squad. They've got a squad that you can at least respect. And for the Bulls to not be far and keep it close, tooth and nail, that is something that you can look into. But the big discrepancy was from the three-point line, ladies and gentlemen. Milwaukee started this game unbelievably hot from the three-point line. And I think the difference is the Bulls didn't start terrifically hot from the three-point line. That was the key. It's not the fact that the Bucks had their great start. The Bulls didn't. The Bulls were like 0 from 6 or something like that from 3 before they made their first one. And you could tell when the first one kind of went in, everybody was starting to take a little bit of a deep breath. Finally, that first shot goes down. And there was a lot of offensive discrepancies. We did not have a great offensive game. We were not very good from the three-point line. We did get to the line a little bit more, free throw line at least, and that was positive to see. There was a little bit of aggression in our offense. But ultimately, Milwaukee were just too good from three. And we talk about, okay, we need to be more physical. We need to play physical defense against the Bucks and against any team that we face. And look, we definitely do. With the Bucks, they've got a very good front court, very good big men. In order to beat the Bucks, you have to be able to play physical with them. You can't just, give Giannis open dunks, for example, like he constantly got today. My man had open dunk after open dunk, open lane after open lane. You need to be physical. You need to be able to stop that. You need to throw multiple bodies at him. And you need to try and give up a different shot. At the end of the day, that's not what we saw. And when we did see that, Milwaukee made their threes. It's a hard team to beat. But more importantly, how are you supposed to play physical against a team that you can't get the ball off of? Their spacing was so good today, and their three-point shooting was just so efficient. It is extremely hard to be playing physical defense against a physical opposition that are also going to beat you from the three-point line. Last season, they were the best three-point shooting team, and they had a great night tonight. So the Bulls definitely need to, do something in order to fix, I guess, the defensive weaknesses there. And it's another thing about reverting back to old ways, because I talked about physicality and how, yeah, you could be physical against the Bucks, but if you can't catch them and if you can't stop the three-point shot, playing physical doesn't necessarily always matter, because they're going to knock down the threes and they're going to hurt you from the perimeter. So yes, you need to play good defense, physical defense, and all of that, but I did not like our first quarter at all. And it's not just because of the offense, it's because of our defense. We let too many things go in that first quarter on the defensive end. Way too many things. Too many open lanes. Too many open threes. A couple of rotations that were not committed to. There was a play with the Bucks where the ball was moving terrifically well and they found the corner And I don't know if it was a Vucevic fault or somebody else's fault, but whatever it was, no one committed to going and guarding that guy from the three-point line. Again, it's a basic play. I don't know the plays involved in that. I didn't watch it that thoroughly, but no one committed to that guy in the corner, and the three-point shot was made, and the Bulls just looked completely lost. We had to call a timeout after that play, and there was too many of those things going on in the first quarter. Now, this is a Bulls team that we need to absolutely be better defensively this season. It's an absolute must. Absolute must. You're saying there are guys like Matas Bazelis out here saying that he wants to be coached like a defensive player of the year player. And you've got guys like Isaac Okoro bringing physicality, trying to guard the best defenders every night. You're trying to be better defensively. And look, this is not aimed at Matas specifically, but since he said such things, I expect everyone on the Bulls to be treated similar. We need to treat everybody like they're trying to win Defensive Player of the Year. That's how I view it. If one player is treated that way, everybody should be treated that way. So the Bulls need to really dig their teeth. Billy Donovan needs to dig his teeth into this team. And AK, whoever is in charge of giving this team motivational talks, needs to dig into this team and say, look, you had great games against the Cavs defensively. You had good stretches against the Bucks. But ultimately, if you want to be a good defensive team, stretches need to be consistent. You look at OKC, always consistent defensively, every single night. That's why they don't lose many games, do they? Because defensively, they're going to shut your team down. If you want the Bulls to have that sort of treatment, if you're trying to coach them like a defensive player of the year, then everybody should be ridiculed defensively when things don't go our way. And that's why I did not like our first quarter at all. I appreciate the second, third, and fourth quarters just fine. Again, even when we don't play the greatest offensive game, we fought. I don't have a problem with our offense. I can live with shots not falling. It happens. Every team is going to have a bad shooting night. Every team is going to have a mediocre offensive display here and there. But defensively, and the effort you put in defensively means something. Even in preseason, it means something. So that first quarter is what I look at, and I'm very disappointed. But ultimately, outside of that, there is still things you could take away from a game like this. Look, 2-1 in preseason ain't bad. One more preseason game to go. What I want to see is consistency in our defense. If we're going to be aggressive defensively, be aggressive for all four quarters. If you're going to be physical on defense, be physical on all four quarters. Don't let things go. Don't give up on plays. I really believe that happened way too much. That's just my opinion. Maybe people that watch the game more in depth, I could only watch it in 10-minute intervals during my breaks. These games happen when I'm at work. I can't watch these games physically and pay attention to every single play like I used to. So I'm giving you a basic analysis. But what I saw in that first quarter compared to the rest of the game, I could honestly sit here and tell you I did not like it. I was very disappointed in that first quarter. The rest of it was fine, in my opinion. I also want to give credit to the Bucks as well. I mean, I'm sitting here ridiculing the Bulls. The Bucks had a great game. The Bucks obviously shot really, really well from the three-point line, which is, expected at this point. But we're looking at the Bucks and we're looking to find their balance. How's their balance going to work? Well, they've got balance behind the arc, but their front court is absolutely spectacular, which we all expected. And we were wondering about the guard help, how they're going to have, I guess you could say support from their guards, because their guards they're not the strongest. And I think we can all agree to that. Even till now, we can all agree to that. But when their bigs are having the games that they're having, when Giannis is playing that well, when Miles Turner has 19 points, 5 from 8 from the three-point line, making Vucevic look like a preschooler out there. Like, that's just how it was. He absolutely destroyed Nikola Vucevic in a game like this. And you're looking at, obviously, guys like Kyle Kuzma, who's another guy that plays in their forward positions, having the game that he has. The balance in that front court is definitely there. And maybe with an MVP caliber like Giannis, that is enough. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely give credit to the Bucks for the game they played today. And I do respect both teams for taking this seriously. You could tell there was passion in this game. It was a physical outing, a tough matchup for both teams, I would say. The Bulls, I think, have more balance everywhere, but the Bucks have elite players in certain areas that makes it difficult. That's how I feel about both teams at this point in time. But the passion and the fight was there. I mean, there was a brawl a little bit there, ladies and gentlemen. Dalen Terry got ejected in this game. It was the weakest ejection of all time. Maybe not the weakest ejection, but, it was an unnecessary ejection. Let's put it that way. I don't think there was much in it, in all honesty. But here we are. He gets ejected. And you know, there was a little bit of a scuffle. And in preseason, I like a little bit of fight. I like a little bit of fight. Sure, you know, don't obviously get too carried away. We don't need ejections. And Dalen Terry's in year 4 now. So, you know, you expect him to kind of have a little bit more control over his emotions. But that's a very difficult trait when you're in an environment like the Bullseye and when you're losing as well. It's a difficult trait to have. But I will accept it in preseason. If it's an important game and a player gets ejected like that, I might have a bit more problems. We'll see what happens in the next preseason game, ladies and gentlemen. Game 4 of the preseason. Let's see if we can have a good end and a good beginning for the regular season. Thank you for watching. My player of the game today was Ayo Dosunmu, 22 points if I'm not mistaken. Unbelievable off the bench. Look, man, he's taken this season seriously. This is a contract year for him, and you could already tell he's leaps and bounds right now, in my opinion, above the rest for the Chicago Bulls. Trey Jones is having a good preseason. Bazelis is having a good preseason. You know, guys like Josh Giddey had a good game today, but ultimately Ayo has been the most consistent out of every single one of those games, and that's why we call him Mr. Dependable, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistent, because he comes in and game out, whether it's the points, the rebounds, the assists, whatever it is, he'll find a way to be productive for you. So he's my player of the game today. What do you guys think? I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.